All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is YouTube's Pastor Dow. I want to talk to you here for a moment about the political landscape of this country. And I want to try to do whatever I can to get you to see and understand the reason why that you have people who call themselves your representatives, but yet they do not represent your best interests. And I think it's high time for us as a people to begin to understand what we're up against. Every single time you participate in this political process in so-called selecting between the two-party agreement, meaning the Democrats or the Republicans. If I said it once, I said it 1,000 times. They're all rats, and they all work for the same side. And that's just all there is to it. But to get you to understand it, I want you to understand this. Look, let me paint a picture for you how the game goes. Politicians spend their life begging for money and begging for votes. That's pretty much their life. And then these same politicians have the audacities to want to jump on preachers. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't give two dead flies about or two farts about Christianity in itself, because I know it's a heathenistic, paganistic, satanic religion. And I dare any of you to get your pastors to have an open debate with me about that subject. Now, since we laid that to rest, let's move on. This two-party system right here, when these politicians get elected in their respective states, all right, they get so much money from their states to represent them, the states, right? But the amount of money that they receive, be they in the House or in the Senate, from the states that they represent, because that's the money that the taxpayers or the people pay them to allegedly represent them in this system of corruption. But what happens is by the time they get to that White House that I commonly call the outhouse, by the time they get up there, you have social interest groups, you have lobbyists, you have, or special interest groups, excuse me, and you also have social too, but that's another definition. But you have special interest groups, you have lobbyists, and then you have corporations. And every one of them line the pockets of these particular politicians with thousands of dollars in order to buy them. I think that the same thing that goes on with NASCAR or MotoGP, when they wear the stickers of the particular companies that they're representing, I think that on the suits of these politicians, you should know what is the motivation behind them casting their votes, and they should wear stickers that represent the corporations or the special interest group or the lobbyists who they're actually really truly voting for. Because when you're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars and sometimes millions of dollars to run for these offices, that you can go in a middle class or poor, and I tell you what, you come out rich. But the amount of money that these special interest groups, these lobbyists, and these corporations paying pales in comparison to our money pales in comparison to what these corporations are paying. That's the reason why when you watch the votes that they cash, it does not represent you and I. And that's why I constantly keep saying over and over and over again, we have a system of corruption, which is commonly called iniquity. But what we have in this system is we're constantly being taxed as a people. We have taxation without representation. Now, I personally believe that if you own property, you should not have to pay taxes on that property. Why? Because you already have income tax. You have state tax. And then you have sales tax. You have food tax. You have taxes when you go buy a vehicle. You have taxes that you pay on your electric bill, light bill, phone bill. You have taxes when you go buy clothes. You have taxes when you buy tires or anything that has to do with the upkeep of your particular vehicle. We are taxed as a people, and we are taxed on an unprecedented scale as a people. And we are taxed coming and we are taxed going. And then at the income, at the end of the year, when it's all said and done, and if you made too much income and you did not pay in enough taxes, and I wonder who that is that determines how much tax you need to pay. Because we all know that JCPenney, these big corporations, they pay zero taxes. Is that not amazing? Yet they make billions of dollars a year. But us, the people, I told you, we are the fools. We are the pawns in their chess game, and we're paying them to live on their land. And I tell you, when you really start evaluating, you know, I guess that's what independent thinking gets you, because independent thinking, I don't think it gets you in trouble. It makes you more informed, but it definitely makes a lot of enemies. It definitely makes a lot of enemies. I just got finished coming out of Home Depot, where I just had to give history lessons, and I had a crowd around me on these history lessons. I had somebody turn around and say, well, happy Thanksgiving. I said, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving, and so there's nothing happy about it. And well, sir, why come you don't celebrate Thanksgiving? This is a college student. And why come there's nothing happy about it? Well, I'll tell you a reason why. Do you know the history of Thanksgiving and why you do things you do? No, sir. So, I mean, you mean to tell me that you blindly follow anyone that tells you something and then you just assume that it's truth and it's right? Well, yeah, pretty much. Tradition. I said, really? I said, how long are you going to continue that kind of behavior in your life? He said and thought. Everybody's listening. I gave him the history lesson on the National Day of Mourning. You need to go look it up. And he's like, okay, I'll do that. And I said, and then he turns around and says, he said, well, I'll tell you what, sir, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend. I said, you're not offending at all. I said, this is opportunity for me to minister and inform you. And so I proceed to go on to say, well, he proceeds to go on and says to me, he says, well, sir, I'll tell you what, Merry Christmas. I said, when you going to stop this nonsense? And I told him, I said, you know, there ain't no such thing as Santa Claus. You know what the sad part about it was? Not only did he know, but he broke the history of Christmas down, not only to me, but everyone that was standing around. And I said, brother, if you believe that this is a pagan holiday, then why are you celebrating pagan holidays when you know it's a pagan holiday? He said, you know what? That's a good question. I said, don't you believe in Jesus or believe on Jesus? Yeah, I do. I really do. I said, have you forgotten the part where he said no man can serve two masters? Either you're going to love one and hold to him, or you're going to love one and despise the other. Have you forgotten that part? You can't serve God and mammon. You can't serve two masters. Do you understand that since you recognize this is a pagan holiday, that you are serving another God? Do you understand that? Well, I never looked at it that way. Tell me if I'm telling the truth then. He said, sir, you are telling the truth. So, brother, I don't want to hear no more of this nonsense about we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Thanksgiving again ever from you then, since you know the truth. Now, all the rest of these people that are standing on the fence over here, it don't mean nothing to them, because they're going to continue to hold fast to the traditions of men. You can see it and look at it in their eyes. They're disturbed greatly, but not disturbed enough and not offended enough that their parents or whoever else, that the people that they trusted in, has actually saddled them with satanic paganism. But they're not disturbed enough to do nothing about it. When I left, this man extended his hand and shook my hand and said, sir, thank you for waking me up. I said, have a good day. And don't go back to that mess again.